Yo, 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 it's mate HH5000 here, and I hope you really enjoyed this video here, the Donald Duck Quack Attack one. If you didn't, I'm sorry, but today might be a redemption story for you, because today I found this one on eBay. Yeah, again, didn't know it existed until like trying to research for this project, and this is Magical Tetris Challenge for the N64. I'm very confused why Disney have a game called Magical Tetris Challenge and it's a Disney one. Like, literally, like, is there a storyline? Don't know, doubt it. It's Tetris. I'm guessing you just like colourful bricks and just having like 8-bit, a dream, a wish, you know, a dream is a wish your heart, a dream is a wish your heart makes. Sorry. And like, it's a small world, but I could be wrong. You know, if there's a storyline to it, then what's happened? I'm guessing Maleficent stole all the bricks and tried to make herself a new castle, and like, you know, the Disney gang gonna stop them, because then use the more bricks themselves to build Disney World bigger, better, badder, stronger. But yeah, let's try it out and see how it is, and see if it's retro or regretro. So, Magical Tetris Challenge. Where do we even start with this? So imagine picking up a Tetris game and it features a story which is pretty advanced considering it's 1998, which has all 4 of the characters like that you'd expect from a Disney game, being Donald, Goofy, Mickey and Minnie. Now, considering we just played Donald Duck Quack Attack, what I decided to do is start the game as Donald Duck, in which it worked out probably the best it probably could do, because you know, this story features actually around Donald finding a gem. So picking Donald was a good idea in this kind of game. I like how I'm saying this, it's literally about Tetris, alright? So, but literally, so anyway, going on from that, so Donald is literally casually fishing as he does, and he finds a gem in the sea, which, when you put 2 and 2 together, could it be the gem that Murloc had in the Donald Duck Quack Attack game? Conspiracy. Anyway, going on from there, Donald's quite impressed by this, so he goes around the neighbourhood visiting his pals, Mickey, Goofy and Minnie, who are all up to something, like Goofy owns a farm, Mickey owns a factory, and Minnie's just there baking cookies. But anyway, so first person you meet when you're Donald is Goofy, and he wasn't messing around. He was literally taking me to school in that game. As seen here and here. Enough of that. Anyway, going on from there, like, eventually, after you've seen all your friends, you'll bump into 3 of the most crustiest villains of all time. One of the weasels from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the big bad wolf from the 3 Little Pigs, and the worst Disney character of all time, Pete. Now, I cannot stand Pete at all. Pete is like the biggest villain in Disney history, mainly because he's just a little snitch, and the boy just should keep his nose out of business. And you can tell he's evil because he'll like start off and start talking and be like, "Yes, it's the Goof Boy, see? Yes, I'm doing this, see?" When you end your like sentences with the word "see," you are a villain. I've seen the Muppets. However, going on from there, you play all 3 of them in a game of Tetris, not at once, but simultaneously, one after the other. You start off with the Weasel, then you go on to the Big Bad Wolf, then you go on to Pete. Once you beat Pete, for some reason he's taking your gem, he's obsessed with it, and he's going from there. Then you get your gem back, and then that's the game done. So you literally have like 6 stages of Tetris. But like I said, all 4 of the characters, have a story like each. So I decided to go on to Minnie, who's baking vegetable cookies, where she got the vegetables from her good pal Goofy from his farm. In this kind of case, Goofy gives the vegetables, and like Donald pops over, goes like, "Hey, here's a fragment of the gem, do what you want." In which she decides to visit Mickey in his like in his factory. And when this happens, like Mickey's a bit reluctant to like, you know, make like the gem into like the necklace, bracelet, branch, whatever she wants, brooch, sure it could be. So eventually he says that I'll take you on a game of like, you know, Tetris, Min, right? And once we've had that, then I'll consider it, as long as you can beat me. So then you go on to beat Mickey, and he decides to make the jewellery, in which what happens? Pete and his crony steal it again. They're so crusty. In which what happens is you go on, you beat them, and then your credits happen, you've completed the game, you go on to the next character. I decided to go for Mickey. Mickey's got a bit of more of an interesting story, where like straight away somehow Pete's got the gem, in which what happens is like he decides to use it and he wants to marry Minnie, in which we see this very, very, very controversial, interesting bit of dialogue. That is not PG. Yeah, it's one thing about this game. Like the dialogue literally comes in boxes, and like the words can get a bit like big. So like like they're just a bit like can't fit it all into one box. It happens, but in this kind of case, it just happened the wrong time, kind of thing. Anyway, so Mickey, so Pete uses his magical gem to convince Minnie to like marry him. He runs off with her. Mickey's annoyed, but he ends up he gets like brainwashed himself, and he ends up in a field. And that field happens to be Goofy's farm. When he's there, he decides to basically go on to speak to Goofy, and Goofy's like, "I don't even know who you are, mate." In which what happens is you play him, believe it or not, a game of Tetris. Who would have thought it? And in that kind of case, Goofy is like, eventually once you beat him, he gets his like memories back, and he's like, gosh, and then like, you go on. Yeah, again, the same thing happens to Donald, but he's outside his boat, and then you meet the Weasel, the Wolf, and Pete, who's accompanied with Minnie. Now, once you beat like them, you get Minnie back, credits roll, game over, done, sweet. However, more like last story album, I decided to go with Goofy. Like, sometimes you've got to save the best till last. So we got to love Goofy. I love the Goofy movies. One of the best films ever made. So Donald gives him a bit of the fragment of the gem. He could give it, or cash it in, so for Max in the future. But he decides not to. He decides he wants to put it on the front of his tractor. And you got to respect that. At the end of the day, like, man loves his jewels, and that's what he wants to do. I think that's a cracking idea if you ask me. So big up Goofy for that. So what happens? He puts it on the front of his tractor. He then gets it stolen by because at the end of the day, like, Mickey has to make like the thing for it in his factory. So you go and see them guys first. Yeah, cool. So Mickey makes like the crest for the tractor. Goofy puts it on there, it gets stolen by the Weasel, the Wolf, and crusty old Pete. Pete, his best mate in Goof Troop, right? Like the same guy who rats Max out in the Goofy movie. Yet again, Pete is the biggest villain in Disney history. Anyway, well, I'd actually probably say Judge Claude Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame, but still. Anyway, you go on, you win the game, and that's it. But at the end of the day, it's an interesting one, because like Magical Tetris Challenge just happens like to be a good little game. Like there's 3 other modes. So like obviously there's the Magical Tetris Challenge mode, which I decided to go with. And there's 2 others. Now I didn't bother really trying with the others, because I remember one, it was just like this like platform coming up above and like making my bricks go higher. It just really annoyed me. It was just the same story mode. And then you just got the endless Tetris mode, which is just for the casual Tetris like viewer. So at the end of the day, it was quite a good game. Like at the end of the day, like it was very simple, and you can beat it pretty easily. And then like the soundtrack was also very interesting. Like for instance, like the credits sound like it's like a TV shopping channel, and you feel like you're buying stuff, and it was a bit like, oh okay. Had a nice little photo montage. It done the job kind of thing of like the game or whatever. And then when you play in Pete, it sounds like it's about to go into like a UK classic club hit, Born Slippy by Underworld. So if you ever play this game, just listen to it and see what you think. I would put it like on here, but I don't want to get done for copyright. But yeah, let's go back to you, Matty HH5000. So now we are here to answer: is Disney Magical Tetris Challenge retro or regretro? And I am here to tell you that I believe that this is indeed retro, mainly because it's fun, it's Tetris. Tetris is always going to be a classic, and there is a few things where like they really include some massive blocks at times. You're a bit like, oh no, I'm screwed kind of thing. But at the same time, it's fun. It's got a nice little Disney touch to it. Like, if they had like some 8-bit Disney classics like the Mickey Mouse March, would have probably given it some like better, you know, like qualities. Apart from that, overall, you can't go wrong with a Tetris game unless you find Tetris really boring. But it's one where you can just go back, play it, just play Tetris normally. You just have like Mickey Mouse doing an animation at the side, like with his Tetris machine. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's retro. I recommend it if you are looking, if you're a Disney collector. If you like Tetris, then fair play. Might just want to stick to like the original Tetris games. But if you want to have that little bit of extra Disneyness in there, then this is your game. But yeah, no, it was fun to play, and I'm going to stick with that and say retro. Disney Magical Tetris Challenge. I'm Matty HH5000. This has been Retro or Regretro. Thank you very much for watching today. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. You can even dislike it if you really want to, but that's just mean. See you in the next one. Look how savage Donald is. Laughing his old face off at me. Mean.